Joining me now, former Deputy Assistant Attorney General Tom Dupree. Tom, thank you for being with us. So the report felt like a thud for many people, surprising to some, expected by others, depending on your thoughts. What do you think were the biggest takeaways in the report?
Right. I think the biggest takeaways were Durham's conclusions that the FBI may have moved a little too quickly in opening a full investigation, that a little more caution, a little more prudence might have been warranted. It's interesting in that so much of the Durham report now focuses really on operational changes that, in his view, should be made at the FBI about how quickly, how readily they should progress to the full investigation mode, as opposed to specific, discrete instances of criminal misconduct, of which he didn't find very many.
So I'll get to the recommended changes if he will, in fact, offer guidance on that in a moment. But the report focused on the FBI's process, as you say. It started, how the investigation was handled, going so far as arguing that the agency showed confirmation bias, not political bias, in a rush to investigate. Can you explain the difference between the two?
Sure. I think confirmation bias is the idea that an investigator begins with the conclusion and then looks for evidence that will confirm that preordained conclusion. Political bias can often result from confirmation bias. Political bias would simply be investigators following a path that's not driven so much by the evidence that they're uncovering, but by their desire to reach a political determination or a political conclusion. So I think there's a lot of overlap between those two types of biases, but in both cases, there are examples of when an investigation can go a bit awry.
All right. So given that confirmation bias, however you deem it, they are expected to ask Durham for a recommendation on changes to address that specifically. What might those changes look like?
I suspect one of the changes will basically be a reminder that it's important to check the source of the information before moving ahead. In other words, one of the things that Durham has been focused on is that folks at the FBI would get in information from sources that either had an axe to grind or had their own political biases themselves or may not really have known what they were talking about. And yet the FBI moved ahead based on that information. So I suspect that's going to be one of the bottom line recommendations from this whole process, is to take these sorts of things that come in over the transom with a grain of salt and look to whether the person who's reporting these alleged crimes might have a political motive or some other axe to grind before you act on that information.
Isn't that what they're supposed to be doing already? Weren't they trained to do that?
They are, but again, like so many things, you can get trained to do something, but then when it comes to practice, you somehow forget your training or you don't actually interpret or internalize the lessons that you've learned. And so what we saw here was situations where the FBI was getting all sorts of information from a variety of sources, some more reliable, others less reliable. And so I think what Durham and I suspect the Congressional Committee are basically going to say is we really need to redouble our efforts. So the FBI needs to redouble its efforts in kicking the tires a little bit on this stuff, on this information it gets before it begins what's a very consequential event, namely opening a full FBI criminal investigation.
No matter which way you lean, the optics aren't good for the American public. How does this play into distrust in the FBI in doing what it's set out to do in investigations?
Yeah, and that's one of the things that's bothered me about this whole process. And to your point, regardless of your political views, it is something you would think all Americans could agree on, that the FBI needs to both be perceived as and, in fact, be an independent, neutral, nonpartisan investigator. And so one thing that worries me is that the American public, they watch this and they think, oh, gosh, the FBI is no different than anyone else. They've got their political agenda. They're not acting on the basis of evidence. They're acting based on politics. I don't think that's true. I think the vast majority of rank and file FBI employees are devoted public servants who are doing their God-given best to get to the right answer and get the job done. But at the same time, having a report like this, having a congressional spotlight put on it, it helps in some sense, in that I think it really will help refocus the FBI on its core mission.
Real quickly, I just have a couple seconds left. Your thoughts on the Hunter Biden plea deal and where any potential other investigations go from here?
I think he got a good deal. Look, I mean, Hunter Biden's attorneys did a good job. They avoided jail time for their client, and they avoided any charges on some of the more serious things that we had heard kicked around about corruption or double dealing or things like that. So by and large, it was a very good outcome from my perspective for Hunter Biden. It's not clear that the investigation is over. The U.S. attorney was careful to say that the investigation continues, but no question, Hunter Biden cleared a very, very big hurdle here in a very favorable way for him.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.